Good afternoon. It's April the 20th, 2004. I'm Mayor Livingston, and this afternoon, Tom Bush and myself, on behalf of the Southwest Georgia Regional Library, are interviewing Roscoe Alday on his adventures and his experiences in World War II. Roscoe, tell us, you first joined the National Guard, I believe, in 1941?
No, I joined October 14, 1940.
40. And you went on maneuvers in 1941.
I went on maneuver in 1940. We left to Bainbridge and went to camp. It was back then it was Camp Steer. We went February the 10th, 1941.
Well, now, did you go in as a unit? Captain Griffin was your CO?
Yeah, he was our commanding officer.
That's Captain Marvin Griffin.
Captain Marvin Griffin.
And now, when did you get appendicitis? I've got to know.
1941.
Okay.
On maneuver
and
Chester, South Carolina.
Well, now, were you trained as anti-aircraft at that time?
Well, we had trained that whole year at that Camp Steer.
But you had to come to the unit was stationed in Bainbridge, is that right?
No, we was organized at the Armory out here on Louis Street. And we stayed here to train until February the 10th, 1941, and that's when we left here and went to Camp Steer.
You went into active service that time?
Yeah, I went into active service February the 10th, 1941.
And where were you but you came home, you were home when the war broke out in December?
Well, I had been operated on for appendicitis, and I was home on convalescence, and I was sitting on the porch whenever I heard announced that the Japanese had won Pearl Harbor. And I went down to Audie Morris's store and called Captain Griffin and told him that I had heard the news, and if he wanted me to come back to answer my telephone call, if he didn't want me to come back, not to answer. And I didn't hear from him, so I finished staying the rest of my leave, and then I went back.
You went back to Camp Stewart. And then you went to Camp Stewart to where?
Fort Dixon, New Jersey. We went to Fort Dixon, New Jersey, February the 15th,
1942.
1942. And we stayed at Fort Dixon, New Jersey, and then we went to Boston, Massachusetts, and got on the Queen Mary.
Did you know where you were going?
No, they didn't tell us nothing. Only thing we know we was on the water. And whenever we left from Boston, there was 2 destroyers and 1 cruiser that was following us until we got to the Queen Mary, got up to speed, and then they all left us. And we went near about Rio de Janeiro, turned around and come back off of the coast of Tampa and stayed there 4 days. And we changed captains there. They'd taken the commander from the British and give it to an American captain, and they called him the Sea Fox. And he was one that was in charge of the Queen Mary from then until we got to Sydney, Australia.
Well, how many men were aboard the Queen Mary?
There was 10,000 of us and all of our equipment.
And your guns and all?
All was on it. There's 10,000 of us. And the crew was 2,000. There were 2,000 British troops on there.
2,000 British troops. And you still didn't know, you got back to Tampa, and you still didn't know where you were going?
We didn't know where we were going. Whenever we got to Sydney, we went to a place up there they called Finch Haven, and we stayed there a couple of weeks, and then we went to Townsville, Australia, and they put us on a Dutch freighter. And when we got out of the harbor of Townsville, Australia, they told us then that we was headed to New Guinea.
Fighting in New Guinea, that's pretty hard.
That's where we was at, yeah, we was in 100 bombing raids, how out it was.
When you say New Guinea, Fort Mosby, that way you want?
That's where we landed at, Fort Mosby. And while I was there, I was up on top of a hill, they called it Tulagoober. And since then, Sam has went back over there. And he told me that that hill was cut down and there was a big fine motel up there on the top of it.
At Fort Mosby.
Fort Mosby. And we got in a squadron of P-41. You remember them?
Yeah.
And that night, about 10 o'clock, Tokyo Rose come on and said, I know y'all got in a squadron of P-41. They said, we're going to be over there in the morning and try them out. And you can set your clock by.
They came.
They came. They sure did. And one night, or one late one evening, there was a ship come into harbor and it was loaded with fresh meat. And that news that night, she come on and told us that they was loaded, there was a shipment of fresh meat coming in there. She said, we're going to sink it. We're going to sink it tomorrow.
We interviewed a man who guarded Tokyo Rose, and he thought the world of her.
Oh, really?
Hmm? Yeah.
After the war?
Yeah, after the war.
Yeah.
And whenever she said that, the next morning at 10 o'clock, there was a sounded air raid, and to the southeast of where the ship was anchored at, there were 40 or either 41 bombers and 60 fighter planes come in. And whenever it come in, they had one of the fellas on my gun crew. He was every time I got the bum rate, he was scared. And he asked me, he said, where are they at now? I said, oh, they still coming. And whenever he got out and got to crawling around the gun pit, praying, and he said, where are they at now? I said, well, they still coming.
Were y'all firing and shooting back?
No, they was too far from us. But whenever they got in range, them 90 millimeters put in the firing at them. And whenever they turned and started down that bay where that ship was at, he said, where are they at now? I said, they turned down and started down the bay. And he jumped up and put in the cuss, and you wouldn't believe some of the language he used there. He'd been praying. But
Were you afraid? Were you scared too? Or you just started shooting? Did you start shooting then?
no, we didn't shoot it. We didn't shoot it all at them, because they was out of our range. We had 40 millimeters, and they was, I believe it was 35,000 feet or 36,000 feet that they was up. And just about 20 minutes after they sounded the alarm, that ship was sunk. They sunk it. She said they were going to sink it, and they sunk it. So it is.
From 35, the high range bombers got it.
Them bombers, them 90 millimeters fired on, and they shot down some of them over there because they was Japanese fell on the runway, not on the highway over there. And it looked like where you poured out a bucket of grease.
What did Tokyo Rose ever say anything about it?
Now, she just told what they was going to do.
And they did.
They do it.
Well, when would y'all get the plane would have to come in pretty low?
Yeah, the only time we fired at them was now they'd be straight with us.
Yeah.
And They didn't do too much strafing where we was at. What they strafing was them runways. I was up on the hill guarding them big guns, and the big gun was protecting the dock. That's what I was, where we was at. But now the rest of the outfit was down there on the 4 and the 7 miles long. That's where the rest of it was at.
The rest of your battery,
Well, the rest of my battery, and there was A, B, and C was scattered out on them. And D was scattered like that too.
what composed the battery back then? How many guns did you have?
I had one 40 millimeter and one M51. And they had a little old generator, and them guns were hooked up to a director. And you put the how miles they was flying and how high they was, and then that there thing automatically point that gun into the director, what you'd put in that there director.
Well, do you ever remember hitting one of them?
No, I don't remember ever hitting one, but I know they dropped some bombs, and the dud, I reckon the dud went on the side of the gun pit where I was at, and they cut down, they had what they call a daisy cutter, and it had a long plunger on it, and it would ignite it, it would scatter out. And out of this particular raid, we went out there and got to hunting, and we found 22 Chattanooga fly points.
Oh, I think
22 Chattanooga fly points that were hit.
Well, when you were talking about the Queen Mary, didn't Tokyo Rose announce that the Queen Mary had been sunk?
Well, yeah, we went into the harbor at Rio de Janeiro, and that captain, he went out, and we were supposed to leave. So, we were supposed to leave there at 9 o'clock at night, but he went out and he come back, and whenever he got back at 3 o'clock, he told we was pulling out. And that night, at 9 o'clock, we was listening to a little old battery radio on the Queen Mary, and they announced, Tokyo Rose did, that they had just sunk the Queen Mary, and we were listening at it. But we knew that wasn't so, because we was on the Queen Mary.
Well, they sunk a freighter, didn't they?
Yeah, they sunk a freighter that was coming out of the harbor whenever we was coming out of there.
That was U-boats that sank the freighter. Oh.
I don't know what's like it. We just know that they announced, or she did announce that they had sunk the Queen Mary, and the next day we got word from Rio de Janeiro down there station that there was a freighter that was sunk, but they didn't know who sunk it.
And you went from there
to Cape Town, South Africa.
You zigzagged on. Did you zigzag or did you have to?
No, we go so many minutes one way, and we turn 45 degrees and go the other way so many minutes, and then we turn and go back so many minutes the other way. And at night, we went straight. In the daytime, we zigzagged, and night straight. And in the night, there would be some kind of smoke coming out of the smoke sack on that thing. But in the daytime, there wasn't a bit of smoke come out of it.
Now, Roscoe, at that time, you still didn't know where you were going.
We didn't know where we were going.
We're going to get back to Australia in a minute. You didn't know you were going to get to Australia?
We didn't know where we were headed. We just knew we was out there in the middle of the ocean.
You went from Cape Town to Fremantle to Brisbane?
No, we went from Cape Town to Fremantle, and from Fremantle, Australia, we went to Sydney. Oh, we got off a boat at Sydney, and when we left Sydney, we went to
Campbell?
No, we went to Fantastic. No, it wasn't.
Richmond?
Ipswich.
Oh, okay, I got left one here.
Ipswich, and from Ipswich we went to Townsend, and from Townsend we went to Fort Moultrie, Guinea.
And then you stayed at Fort Moultrie how long?
Well,
Until the Jap.
we stayed there.
Now this is in the early part of 1942.
Yeah, this was in May of '42 when we got up there, and we stayed there then until '43, and we left there and went to a place they called Finch Haven, and we stayed there, and they was fixing to move from there and go to another place whenever I come home. But there were some of them that went back into the Philippines with them. Whenever they went back to take the Philippines, my brother went back to the Philippines with them.
Well, what unit were you attached to? Were you attached to a division, or you all?
No, we was only thing we was attached to. We was protecting the runway, and there wasn't no other anti-aircraft stuff there except us, except them 90mm guns.
Well, did you stay together as a National Guard unit the whole time? I mean, they didn't split you up, anything like that?
No, they didn't. They didn't split us up until we started coming back home. And, well, no, we were the steward. We left here, we had about somewhere close to 80, I reckon, somewhere in that general area. And when we got to steward, they saw a bunch of people that they had drafted, and we got up to about 180 in each one, in each battery, because they were about 1,200 of us in the 101st Battalion.
But did Marvin Griffin stay with you the whole time?
No, he stayed with us until Colonel Frazier come back home, and then I don't remember who it was that took Colonel Frazier's place, but they rated Captain Griffin up to a major, and he went up higher. And then Lieutenant Pettis was made captain, and he taken Captain Griffin's place. And then later on, they would send us back on points, and they sent Captain Major Griffin back home then. And when he come back home, they made him adjutant general for the state of Georgia. I think that's right. I think that's right.
Now, who took it? Okay, but the group stayed together, 101st?
Yeah, they stayed.
Anti-aircraft.
Yeah, they stayed right on together. And whenever the war was over, they was all in the Philippines then. They'd all went back to the Philippines.
But you never got to the Philippines?
I never got to the Philippines. In fact, I left the outfit when we was at Finch Haven and come back home. And when I come back home, I stayed 2 weeks here, and then I went and stayed 2 weeks in Miami Beach. And I left Miami Beach and went to Fort Bliss, Texas. And I'd rather been in New Guinea than Fort Bliss.
See? Why was that?
I don't like them gnats out there, and I didn't like them sidewinder rattlesnakes.
Were you training other troops out there?
Yeah, safety that had been drafted in.
Would you still have the 40mm guns?
Yeah, out there we trained them on that. Trained them on M1s, and trained them on that M51 machine gun.
Now that was one you were telling me about, the 750 rounds.
Around a minute, there was 4 of them.
It's 4 of them to
You know, there was 2 up here and 2 here. You was in the middle, and there's a little place about that wide, about that long, that you could see through. And the rest of it was steel plated.
But you couldn't aim these electronically.
No, they was on the outfit, but they had an outfit that they were controlled by Carroll. They was a generator putting the power to them things, just like it was to that 40mm.
That's a Quad 50. I was in a Quad 50 unit when I was a lieutenant at Fort Bliss.
Yeah. I think 4 of them.
They still got them?
Yeah.
They've got them in the reserves.
I'm pretty sure they got them. But boy, them things, you'd fire one of them things and if my memory is right, every fifth one was a tracer. And I don't see how them things fired that, because them look like they'd be a straight line of fire, then there'd be 4 bullets in between them.
What would be, and tell us what a tracer was.
Whenever it fires, there'd be a fire behind it.
Right.
You could see it.
Well, did you use that for aiming?
No, that was in your fire. If you were shooting at a plane and you seen that bullet on there, that bullet, well, you'd know you were on this side of the plane. If you put it on the other side and there was a break in it, you'd know the plane was between you and the fire.
Do you remember hitting any Japanese planes? No.
I don't know where it is or not. I fired at them, I don't know where I hit them or not.
How many men were on a gun crew?
My memory, I believe there was about 16 of us on that gun crew. I believe they were 16, 17, something like that.
What did you do when you were in New Guinea? You didn't have, you didn't stand by your gun all the time, did you?
No, we didn't stay at the gun all the time, but where we was at, the only way we could get off of that place was on a truck. And we'd stay there. We wouldn't get off, we didn't get off that plane very often. But it was, I forget how many 1,000 feet high that thing was. And they had cut the top off of that plane.
Off the top of the hill?
And they had 4 90mm guns up on that hill. And each one of them 40mm guns was put off to the side of that 90mm, and that 50 caliber machine gun was put a little bit off to the side of that. And whenever them guns would fire, that whole hill would tremble. I know one time they brought in a man there from South Africa, and whenever them bombers got in range, he put in telling them folks what to put in that director, and they was wanting them to tell them to fire, but whenever them things got, just as they got the closest range to them, he told them to fire, and all 4 of them guns fired at one time. And they hit, I don't know how many planes they hit, but have you ever quail hunted?
Yeah.
You ever shot into a covey of quail and they scattered?
Yeah.
That's the way them bombers done. Whenever they shot into them things, that's the time that one of them gunners fell on that road over there.
Well, Tokyo Road, did you keep on listening to her?
We listened to it as long as we was over there, and I listened to it when I got back home. I thought somebody would have closed her mouth.
How did she? Well, she finally went to jail, didn't
I think they finally went into the prison.
When did the P-38s come in?
They come over there a little while. Now we got over there, there wasn't nothing but that there air corporal over there. They had about 5 or 6 of them over there. And there wasn't but 1 or 2 of them that even would get up. The rest of them was broke down and wouldn't fly. And they brought some of them P-38s over there. And they captured a Jap and brought him down there, and he told them he knew they were going to kill him. But he asked them one favor, that he'd like to see that plane that had 2 fuselages. They were scared of that P-38.
Did you show it to him? He was a pilot?
I
Yeah.
don't know what it was, he was over on that 7 mile zone when they brought him in. And I know they was, that day that there were so many of them over there, that they was young got ship. They was a Filipino pilot, and he was flying one of them P-38s. And when he come back in, the crew chief on that there, that overhead gun, overhead plane, told him to come there, they wanted to show him something. And he told him he didn't want to see it. And the cable that controlled the rudder, they had shot that cable in too, except one strand. And that one strand, he come in with that one strand. And that plane had 750 bullet holes in it. Ooh, 750 bullet holes in it. And they tried to get him to come back and look at it. And he told them there weren't enough Japanese in Japan to kill him. That they had killed his whole family except him. And he said he was going to kill them as long as he could find them. But he was some kind of pilot.
The Japanese guy.
That doesn't know what the Filipino was.
I mean the Filipino.
Yeah. That he was some kind of pilot.
Well, how long were you in New Guinea? You remember?
2 years and 9 months. I'll tell you how many days in a minute.
Well,
I thought I had it, but I ain't.
that's close enough.
I went over there in February 14th of 41 and come back the 12th month and the 21st day of 44.
Well, by then, the war, though, had moved on up into the Philippines.
Yeah, it done it. Whenever I come home, it was done and getting up there. For whenever I left them over there, they had done and moved our outfits up to further on up. And whenever I left them over there, it wasn't just a few days before they went to the Philippines. And the 101st went back to the 100. Because my brother, and you remember Bud Alday? Bud Alday went back.
And you say back, you mean back?
Back to the Philippines, back to the Philippines.
Now, with Ralph Guinea, he was a draftee. Well, was he the only draftee, the rest of you guys?
No, they was more drafted than there was, they was 4 from, Calhoun, Georgia, that was in our outfit. They was Ralph Gaines, John Henry, and John Henry was there, and Eugene Ruddell, and a fellow named, we called him George W. Canute. He said his name was Count, and we called him Canute. They was, a bunch of them would come in there.
Did anybody, while you were over there, did any of our people get hurt? No.
Sure did.
And you were D-battery. Yeah. How many of them are left now?
Lots of what I know of in D battery, they Branson Broom, J.M. Barrett, Jack Wilson, Mercer W. Stavely, Monroe Priest.
How many of them were you in the battery to start with?
They was about 175 or 80 of us, I think.
And you came back July the 17th, 1945?
That's when I got,
That's when you got out.
That's when I got discharged.
and you were working on got discharged from Fort Bliss.
I was in Fort Bliss, but they sent me back to Fort McPherson up here in Atlanta. That's where I was discharged from, Fort McPherson.
Well, you have a story about a mess kit. You want to tell us?
No, Lord. They was one of the fellas we'd have an inspection, and Captain Griffin come by and told that fellow, he said, your mess kit ain't clean. And that boy told him, said, well, it's clean enough for me. And Captain Griffin said, well, it ain't for me. He said, well, you don't have to eat out of it. And Captain Griffin said, no, I said, I want it clean. And they give him a detail that we'll do. And whenever he got through with that detail, the next time we had an inspection, you could hold it up and you could shave in it. He'd fix that thing where he could shave by looking at it, would give it a reflection of good.
But you got out in July the 17th.
1945.
And you were ready to get out, you had the points and everything. The war in Japan didn't end until August, so, but you...
The war ended just a little bit after I got out, so, because old Tojo, I think he's the one that done it, signed an unconditional surrender peace on one of the battleships over, I don't remember which one of them it was, but
Missouri.
He signed an unconditional surrender. And I know I was in Texas, and there was a boy that had just been drafted, and President Roosevelt died. And I will never forget, this old boy said, well, the war won't never be over. Said President Roosevelt died. I said, the war will be over in less than 6 months. He said, no, sir. I said, well, I'll tell you what. I said, Harry Truman's going to give them an ultimatum. They can sign, or I said, he's going to drop that atomic bomb on them.
You did?
Yes, I did. I sure did. And it wasn't no time after I told him that they dropped that thing over there. And it wasn't too long before they were ready to get to the peace table.
You were out by then.
Yeah,
Were you back home in Seminole County?
I was home when the peace was over. But I know another instance happened out there. I'd been home on furlough. They brought a boy in there. Well, they brought 7 in there. Now, whenever I come in, I went down there to the bathhouse and taking a shower. And one of them fellas said, you just got in? I said, I've been in about 30 minutes. And he put in to tell me about the sergeant that was over him. He said, you sure don't want to cross that fellow. He said, that's the meanest man I ever seen in my life. And I didn't let on to him. I just said, well, he must not be all bad. And he said, you don't know that fellow. And whenever I got through taking a bath and coming in and putting my clothes on, and I walked out and he seen that I was a sergeant. He said, Sergeant, I'm so sorry. I said, what I did. He thought I was going to tell that other. But I told him, I said, I know. I said, I ain't got no use for him either.
Well, Roscoe, have you got anything else you'd like to add? You really had an experience. You've been with it.
Yeah, that there, I'll tell you about that there boy. Clients were all crawling around. You about to run out?
I'm fine.
Crawling around, begging for the fighter planes to jump on them. They had one old boy down named Bill Davis. We called him Barbarossa because that's got a beer he drank. And he got at the corner, at the door, had filled the gun and taken his hat and held it up. He said, come on, Jojo. I don't believe you can hit my hat. And that old boy was crying and praying, and he wanted us to stop Bill Day. But every time he had a raid, he'd cry and pray. And then when it was over, he'd cuss our other sailors.
Well, you were glad to get home.
Yeah, I was glad to get on.
Well, Roscoe, we appreciate what you did, and we appreciate you being with us this afternoon. And
Glad to do it.
well, we're glad you did what you did during the war.